There's been thunderstorms like all week. If you've been watching the news, my area of the country is just storms all the time now. Like there we get like 50, literally 50 tornadoes or 51 or something like that a few days ago. So expect some thunder in the background because Kansas is stormy for a bit, and I just not going to wait to do a video. Now this is my cultural recycling argument against those, and there actually are people trying to extend human life into like hundreds of years. Like they're trying to look at what causes aging, and they're trying to put a stop to it. Their noble and their more fanciful goal is to create something called biological immortality. It's important to note that there are different versions of immortality. Biological immortality just means that you don't die from aging. You don't age, but you can still like die normally from like physical trauma and diseases. And there's other versions of immortality where you don't die from diseases or aging, but you can still die from physical trauma. So there's that. But my point is just in general, I'm talking about the idea of humans living for way longer than they live now, like hundreds of years or something. And again, there are people who are actually trying to do this. And in the future, it seems more and more likely that people will be able to like curing cancer, for instance, alone would extend human life by a lot of years, and would make it to where people would be able to be active for a lot longer. So yes, this is my worry though with technology that allows people to live for hundreds of years. It's science fiction now, but give it some time. And my worry is this, that cultural progress might be slowed down a whole lot if people live for too long. So for instance, if people are living for hundreds or thousands of years, as crazy as it sounds, social progress might come to a halt. The worry is that when people are old enough, it becomes that much harder for them to change their minds and their whole worldview. Whereas young people, when they're first born, they don't even have a worldview yet, so they're able to make a new worldview in a new situation without already having a worldview that they've already had for hundreds of years. So because right now we don't live for very long, every generation inevitably dies out pretty quickly, and new generations take over the world on a pretty regular basis. So eventually my generation, Generation Y, will take over the whole world because everyone older than us will be dead. Like when I'm in a senior citizen, there won't be very many people who are in Gen X still. So the idea is that each new generation of people who are forming new worldviews are able to look at the world from a new, fresher perspective and are less likely to be infected by old and obsolete opinions. Whereas if the world was ruled by people who are hundreds or thousands of years old, they would be stuck with all these old, obsolete opinions. For instance, race is an issue right now, a big one, but it would be even more of an issue and probably way worse if we didn't recycle ourselves physically. Like, we recycle the people in charge all the time through dying from aging. So the slavery issue, we might still have slavery. That is crazy. I know it's a crazy sounding argument. We're talking about a crazy sounding topic to begin with, but I still think that we might still have slavery if our world was ruled by people who were born in the 1500s and they hadn't died and been replaced every generation with more progressive people. And that's another thing too, that each generation is a little bit more progressive than the last generation. So the continual dying out of old generations and birthing of new generations ensure social progress. For instance, there's probably a whole lot of things that are probably obsolete and way super conservative that my generation has that will be bred out of, literally bred out of human society as my generation dies off. For instance, older generations thought that it was just evil and stupid to have interracial marriage. But that generation's starting to die out now, and newer generations have very different views on race and no longer think that interracial marriage is wrong. And I'm not trying to channel Zizek here with my nose sniffling issues. You know Zizek and the whole Zizek nose sniffling meme, which I should do a video on Zizek eventually. He's an interesting dude from Europe who does philosophy. But yeah, I just want to point out last moment, I'm not suggesting that we adopt Logan's Run. If you don't know, it was a old movie where everyone died at like age 30 or something. They like took you to a place and a thing happened. I'm not saying that we should institute Logan's Run in order to speed up progress, although I think progress might actually speed up if we were to like have like a cutoff, like at 60 you just die, you get executed or whatever. No, that's bad. Human rights are very important. So I'm a big fan of human rights, so no Logan's Run. But maybe we shouldn't put money into that one particular foundation that's trying to get rid of aging. We should still get rid of cancer, because I don't think that's going to make people live for hundreds of or thousands of years if we get rid of it. So that's still important to get rid of. But trying to get rid of aging in general, we should have some reservations about that particular high-minded scientific goal. And my last point, science can tell you how to live for hundreds of years, so you're eliminating or lessening aging. Philosophy asks, should we?